This month of the How's All That Workin' For You podcast is sponsored by J. Brooks Coffee Roasters in Memphis, Tennessee. Urban Joe is the house favorite at J. Brooks for cold brew coffee. The legendary flavor of Urban Joe will ignite your taste buds with captivating shades of cocoa and cream. With a pleasantly balanced, bold body, the dark roast lover will fall head over heels for this roast. Cold brew is very quick and simple to make. It contains 2/3 less acids than hot brew coffee, so it's a perfect choice for anyone who has reflux or needs a stomach-friendly option for coffee. And if you make cold brew at home, you can make both cold and hot coffee with your solution. Everyone loves an adventure story. Make your day an epic adventure with a steaming cup or cold brew of Urban Joe. To order this signature blend for yourself and learn more about J. Brooks Coffee, click the link in the show notes or visit jbrookscoffeeroasters.com. That's the letter J, brookscoffeeroasters.com. You are officially invited to create some breathing room. This is the absolute best podcast to find the strategies, resources, and motivation you need to stop drowning in overwhelm, break free from hustle culture, and live out your God-given purpose. I'm your host, Rachel Baker, and girl, I've been there, done that. It is my God-given purpose to help you find space for an intentional life so you can confidently live in those strengths, skills, and passions that light you up and serve others. I know you are ready to create some breathing room, so let's do it together. Welcome to episode 23 of Create Some Breathing Room. Today is a reader review episode, and this is a book I have been dying to read for a long time. I finally got it done. So today we are talking about Essentialism by Greg McKeown, and it's been recommended to me so many times over the past few years. And then Holly Girth mentioned it as one of her top recommendations in our interview together back in episode 9. So now I had to read it. And I'll be sure to link that in the show notes in case you missed episode 9, so you can check out that conversation after we've wrapped up this one here today. The full title of this book that we're about to discuss is Essentialism, the Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And it is a must-read for anybody who's feeling stretched thin or craving more time, more space, more energy. This is a game changer for those of us who are juggling multiple responsibilities, or those who are constantly trying to meet everybody else's expectations, maybe feeling overwhelmed by the endless to-do list. Does this sound like you? Yeah, me too. So you're going to love this one. There are just probably three to four main points I really wanted to pull out of this and share with you today. And I've got some quotes that I loved. You know, I was sitting there with my highlighter going crazy. The first thing that really jumped out is something we talk about a lot here, actually. He talks a lot about prioritizing your time and your energy. You know, I talk and teach about prioritizing all the things all the time. So it was fantastic to read his perspective and tips for this particular topic. When he discusses it, one of the big points is this means learning to say no to things that don't align with your values or your goals. And you know, if you missed it, we talked a lot about this idea of saying no to things. When you say yes to one thing, it means you're saying no to something else. We covered this back in episode 7 when we talked about the top 3 questions to ask before saying yes. So again, we'll link that one below. These are all kind of linking up after a while, you know, but that's another good one to check out when you're done here today. A couple of the quotes that really went with this area. The first one, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Ooh, that one hits me. I don't want somebody else to decide what I'm doing with my life. I want to decide what I'm doing with my life. The only person who really gets a say over my life is the Lord, right? So within that, within trying to live for God, for Christ, I want to be able to say, this is his plan for my life. These are the priorities. And actually, this is the priority, right? So that one hit home. Another one around this was, if you could do only one thing with your life right now, what would you do? And it sounds like such a simple question, but I think it's a powerful question. If you're honest with yourself, if you could do only one thing with your life right now, what would you do? That is a good one. Like, hit pause, journal that one out a second. That's a good one to sit with. It was really nice to hear his thoughts, have those quotes, just to speak a little more into this idea that we are constantly talking about how we spend our time and our energy and what that priority looks like. The next one that really jumped out at me was the idea of simplifying your life. This is a huge focus for me right now. I'm just wallowing really in this need to simplify things. And this means getting rid of clutter, but this is physical and mental clutter, things that distract us from what is truly important. And I love how he talked about the physical and the mental, because in the physical space, I really am more and more aware, especially with the way my brain works with ADHD, of how big a role the environment I'm in plays on my mental ability and my emotional state and all of that. It really, if it's cluttered and crazy, I feel cluttered and crazy. So he compares this simplifying of our lives to simplifying our physical clutter. And the big quote that jumped out at me here is a question to ask when you're trying to get rid of things. So I go through my closet, right? And there's the whole, like, does it spark joy? I don't really know what that means. So this question is a lot clearer to me. And the quote is, if I didn't already own this, how much would I spend to buy it? Ooh, that's going to cut a lot more out of that closet. Things that I think, well, I might need, but there are a lot of things in there that I would not spend money on right now. That is not something I would purchase. That is not something I love to wear or that's comfortable or even fits anymore. Come on, I can't be the only one with clothes in the closet that don't fit anymore. That just helps really filter things out. So a big piece of this simplifying is asking some of those tough questions and getting honest with yourself. So what this means mentally, if we are mentally becoming an essentialist and simplifying, the quote here that I loved is, the way of the essentialist is the relentless pursuit of less, but better. So this isn't less is more, right? We hear that a lot. Less is more. No, we want to do less, but better. Ooh, I love that so much. So that really spoke to me. It speaks to where I am personally on my journey. And I'm going to sit with that one for a little bit. Hey, it's Rachel, your go-to encourager and coach. I know you love our podcast talks, but imagine taking that connection to the next level in person. I'm more than a clarity coach. I'm someone who's been in the trenches, juggling all the things. I get it. I've danced with chaos, overloaded schedules, and the struggle to prioritize self-care. But I found the rhythm, and I've got the strategies to help your ladies create some breathing room. So if you're organizing an event, whether it's a conference, church gathering, or retreat, and you want a speaker who brings humor, real talk, and a dose of inspiration, I'm your girl. Let's chat about making your event a memorable one. Visit racheldbaker.com/speaking. That's racheldbaker.com/speaking. I can't wait to connect. And the last area, I said 3 or 4 because these last 2 kind of go together. They're all in one thing, but it is 2 separate points. He talks about focusing on what you can control rather than worrying about things that are outside of our control. And there's a little more to this. So this means letting go of perfectionism and accepting that we can't do everything. There are limitations here. You know, we like to say, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Like, well, okay. But also, there are some limitations in life. So letting go of that perfectionism, accepting you can't do everything. But the other part of that is remembering that we also have the ability to make a choice. And choosing to choose is a big piece of this. So it's not just the limitations, but also you have a choice here. 2 quotes I loved that I pulled out for this section. The first one is, while we may not always have control over our options, we always have control over how we choose among them. Ooh, sit with that a minute. That's good stuff. And the second quote is, the way of the essentialist means living by design, not by default. And I think this one really goes back to talking about how, if you don't design your life, if you don't choose the priority for your life, somebody else is going to choose it for you. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live by default. I want to live by design, right? Can I get an amen? I know I can't hear you saying amen, but I'm just going to pretend that right now, as you're driving in your car, exercising, folding laundry, whatever you're doing, you have said amen. Thank you for solidarity. So the content of this book really provides a fantastic framework for simplifying and focusing our lives. By learning to say no to things that don't matter and decluttering our lives, recognizing that ability to make a choice and accepting our limitations, we can create more breathing room and really achieve greater fulfillment as we're living in our God-given purpose, living by design. And I'm going to be the first to say, trying to weed through every aspect of your life to determine what's essential and what isn't can feel really overwhelming just in and of itself. I mean, listen, a closet, I think, is a big deal to go through and decide what's essential and what's not. So when we're talking about life, this can really feel overwhelming when you're like, well, here's the thing I need to do. It's definitely one of those things that's easier to work through when you have someone else to walk that journey with you. That's what I have to do. This coach goes and finds a coach. When it's time to work through my stuff, I talk it through with somebody else. So when you are ready to start making some of these changes and focus on what's essential in your life, I would love to talk about what that could look like for you. I want you to find a spot on my calendar for a free coffee chat. You can use the link in the show notes or just head on over. It's racheldbaker.com/coaching because it's a lot, but it's important. And I'm here for that conversation. Thanks so much for listening today. Be sure to check the show notes to get links for all the resources mentioned in this episode. As always, your reviews make such a difference, so thank you for taking the time to leave those for us. Your ratings and thoughts mean so much. I love reading each and every one. As we wrap up today, please remember, life can feel crazy and overwhelming sometimes, but you will never regret taking the time to create some breathing room.